Have you been feeling called to coach other people and guide them on their journey, but you've been struggling with these thoughts that tells you that you're not qualified enough, you're not ready, or you're not experienced enough to coach other people? If that sounds like you, then stay with me because in this episode, I am going to show you how you can get started on your coaching journey no matter where you are. There are so many people who feel like they are called to be a coach. They think about being a teacher and guiding people. They think about being a leader and paving the path for people to get their result. And it just brings a spark in them. It makes them so excited. But once it comes to them actually getting started on that journey and them actually building out a coaching program, they remain stagnant because they have road blockages. And there are two main road blockages that holds people back. The first road blockage is the thought that tells you that you are not qualified enough to become a coach, or you don't have the experience to become a coach. Or usually coaches have been in their industry for 5 years or 10 years and you've never done it before, so you just don't have what it takes to become a coach. And then the second blockage that holds people back is feeling like you don't know everything. So you feel like you have some wisdom, you have a little bit of knowledge that can guide people on a journey, but you don't have the entire pathway. So for example, let's say that you're a business coach, right? And let's say that you're really good and you have a lot of wisdom at helping people build out an online digital course. But when it comes to the marketing aspect, you don't really have knowledge in the marketing industry. So you feel in your head that you don't know enough to actually get started. You know a little bit, but you don't know enough to guide people the whole way. And guess what? Both of these blockages lead to the same place. They lead to the thought that tells you that you will do this later. You will build your coaching program in the future. You have thoughts that tell you one day when I learn more, that's when I'll build my coaching program. One day when I gain more experience, that's when I build my coaching program. But what if I told you that one day could be today and you can get started and join the coaching industry right now where you are, despite the credentials that you have, despite the lack of knowledge that you have, despite everything that you feel is holding you back, you can get started right now today simply by starting with coaching yourself. I know that this sounds crazy. I know you're like, what? What do you mean start by coaching myself? But just hear me out. In the coaching industry, you've probably heard people tell you that the products that you create and the audience that you are targeting is going to be a past version of yourself. It's going to be a person who is currently in a place that you've already overcome. Think about it like you both are on a bridge and there's a gap in between you, right? So you used to be on this side of the bridge. You were on the left side of the bridge. You made the leap and you jumped over the gap from the left side of the bridge to the right side of the bridge. Now your clients, they are still on the left side of the bridge and they're trying to get over to the right side as well. But since you've already made that leap, you know how to take that leap successfully without falling into the gap and failing. So you reach your hand out and you guide them on how to leap over to your side and get to where you are, right? So you started out being in the same place as them and you made your way over to a place that both of you were desiring to go. But guess what? You don't have to wait until you make that leap and get over to the other side to become a coach. You can start coaching yourself as you are maneuvering your way to the other side of the bridge. And I know you're listening to this and you're probably thinking, this sounds nuts. This sounds crazy. But I want to give you some steps to do this and also explain to you how those steps might actually help you in your coaching business. And hopefully by the end of this episode, I've convinced you to get started in the coaching industry today. So if you want to become a coach today and you want to start your coaching journey, coaching yourself, then the first step that you want to take is to build out a coaching program for yourself. When I say build out a coaching program, I mean build out your framework. Your framework is the step-by-step guide that your client is going to take to get the result that you're promising to give them. So your framework should be something that is implementable. It should be something that is easy to repeat. And it should be something that they can realistically get started with right now, today, where they currently are. Now, when it comes to a lot of coaching programs, their frameworks suck. And the reason why they suck is a reason that if you take my advice and you start coaching yourself today, you can create one that exceeds the normal coaching framework. So the reason why a lot of people's frameworks suck is because a lot of people wait until they made it and already have received that result before they start building out their framework. So what they do is they become a new person, they received a new thing, and then they try to look back and they try to think about what steps did I take in order to get this result, and they build it out after the fact. Now you might be wondering, why is this a problem? It's a problem because sometimes once you've already received a result and you've become a new person, it's really difficult to look back and remember what it was like to be a beginner. So when you build out your framework after you receive the result, you may think that you are building it out as a beginner, but you're actually not. There are things in your framework that your client, the beginner, does not understand. There's things in your framework that the client, your beginner client, does not understand how to put together. And they might have trouble actually implementing your framework because you think that this is for a beginner, but it's actually not. I'll give you an example to make this more real. One thing that I personally am interested in is the stock market. So I have taken trainings where people claim that this is a beginner course to teach you about the stock market. Now, I can understand why they think that their courses is for beginners because it's the building process, right? It's you building up something that you never started before. However, one thing that they forgot because they built out their course after they already arrived to the result, they forgot that there's a lot of terminology in the stock market that a beginner would not understand. So they're using this terminology in this course and they're expecting me to understand what that means and understand how this works and understand this, that, and the third. And I'm struggling to catch on because they think that their course is for a beginner, but it's not. This is why I say that if you start now and you start building out your coaching program right now, building out that framework and, coaching yourself using that framework, you have an advantage over these people who did it once they've already arrived, because right now you're a beginner. So let's go back to the stock example. Let's say that right now you're a beginner, you don't know stock terminology, you don't know this, that, and the third. As you're learning, you know that you don't understand this word. So in your framework, you break down that word and make it actually beginner friendly. So when people take your course, right, because you built it out as a beginner, you don't have to look back and try to think, what did I think when I was a beginner? What was my thought process when I was a beginner? What all did I understand as a beginner? That's things that you can't remember off the top of your head, especially when you are no longer a beginner anymore, right? So if you build out your coaching program while you are a beginner, you are building out this framework as a beginner. So you are thinking like a beginner, making it very easy for a beginner to understand. Another example along with knowledge is also resources. So I told you guys a story in a previous episode about how I signed up for a course, and in that course, you needed hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on additional resources in order to implement their strategy to get to a result. So let's say that right now, as a beginner, you are broke. If you start building out your coaching program right now today, you are building it out using resources that are either free or very cheap to use. So once you build out this framework and this framework works on you, once your client takes it as a beginner and they have the money to pay for your program, but they might not have the additional money for all the resources that's required in order to implement that, it doesn't matter because you used resources that was accessible to you when you were in their season. A lot of people, when they create a coaching program and they have already arrived, so let's say that they started out being broke, but now they're a millionaire, a lot of resources that they use right now is very high end. So they might put in their coaching program, you need these high-end products, but they forgot, hey, when I first was starting out, I didn't use that, I didn't need to pay $200 a month for this. I didn't need a team for this, because there are coaching programs where they tell you starting off, you should have a team, you should have a tax person, you should have this, right? But starting off for them, they didn't have that stuff. So if you build out your coaching program now, you can see, okay, when I was coming up, when I was trying to get through this, I used this specific resource. And so you're now creating a framework that requires those cheaper resources that's more accessible to your client where they currently are. So I know that was a lot. So let's recap real quick. If you build out your coaching program for yourself right now, you are ensuring that your framework will be very easy to implement to your client when they are stepping in the shoes that you are currently wearing. So, the next step that you want to take when you are building out a coaching program for yourself is to determine your learning style and use it. As you are learning, you want to build out systems that works best for you and put those in your coaching framework, use them on yourself, and then also include them when you start selling this framework to your clients. So what do I mean by systems? People learn in many different ways, and depending on what you are necessarily coaching on, there might be things that works better than others for some people. So let's say that you are a business coach, right? You might notice that instead of just telling you to do something, actually creating a worksheet that has the questions and has boxes for you to fill out and put everything together, that's a system that's going to help you not only learn, but actually execute the things that you are learning. For some people, like let's say that you are doing a finance coaching program. Let's go back to the stock example. Actually, when I was learning stocks was like really, really difficult for me to understand. So one thing that helped me learn was actually creating quizzes on the things that I was learning and quizzing myself to make sure that I'm actually grasping the information that's given to me. Let's say that you're doing something like stocks, or you're doing something that's like really difficult for people to grasp. You might find that creating a quiz will be very, very beneficial to add inside your coaching program. Let's say, for example, that what you're learning might require you to need a tutorial. It's very difficult for somebody to write down on a piece of paper, this is what you're supposed to do. You need a visualization. You need them walking you through that website. You need them walking you, for example, with stocks. One thing that I could not do was look at a paper that explained charts. I needed somebody to actually pull up a chart on their computer screen, record it, and show me a visualization of what they're talking about when it comes to charts. So for some things in the coaching industry, you might need a visualization, right? So that might tell you maybe I should create slides, or maybe I should, do some type of tutorial. But basically, as you're learning, you need to figure out what systems work best for you and add those systems into your coaching program. Now, the reason why this is beneficial is because, like I said, if you are struggling with this right now, then your future client is going to struggle with it as well. And so if you build these systems, the proper systems into your coaching program right now, trust and believe that's going to help your future client learn in the best and effective way possible. And once you do this, you will realize that your framework might be way more effective than a lot of other coaching programs. And the reason why is because people who, already arrived at their result and then they try to build their framework backwards, what they do is they make the mistake of doing what they see everyone else doing. So there's a lot of people who put quizzes in their coaching program. There's a lot of people who do slides in their coaching program. But you'll notice with some coaching programs, a lot of that isn't necessary. If I'm taking a business course and it's on something simple like creating a digital course, I don't need a quiz. I don't need you to quiz me on that because there's not a lot of things in that I need to remember. So when you build your coaching program, when you already arrived, you might see, a lot of people add quizzes. A lot of people add tutorials. A lot of people add this, but that's not actually needed to be effective for your client. So when you're building out your coaching program and you're learning what's effective as you are coaching yourself, that's ensuring that the things that you are putting in your framework is absolutely necessary. The third step that you want to take when you are trying to build out a coaching program for yourself is to document the way that you are feeling. The reason why you want to do this is because it goes along with your marketing strategy. I live by this saying. It says that you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows that it exists and if nobody resonates with the product, then it will not sell. Your goal with your coaching program is to get it in front of the right people and get it to resonate with people. And the best way to resonate with people is by speaking to them about how they are currently feeling. And like I said, once you've already arrived at your result and you're trying to build your coaching program backwards, sometimes you may remember how you felt in that season, but once you've overcome something and you're already feeling the emotions of a different season, yes, it's very easy to forget exactly how you felt. So if you're building out your coaching program right now where you currently are, right, and you're keeping a documentation of how you're feeling, you can look back at that documentation and you can speak those feelings to your potential client when you're selling the coaching program to them. So let's say right now you are staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning crying because you're just so frustrated about your situation. You're thinking about your kids and you're terrified about what their future is going to look like. There's things specifically that's frustrating you. So let's say, for example, one thing that I teach people on is goal setting. And one thing that really, really frustrated me on my journey is that I got really good at creating goals, but I found myself very frustrated because I didn't know how to actually execute the goals. And that's not something that I heard of. I always heard of, you create a goal and you do it. There's no in between the goal setting and the implementation of the goal. It should be easy and effortless after that. But I found myself so frustrated and ready to give up because I'm like, how is it that I created a plan and I don't know how to execute this plan? Like, the plan is brilliant, but when it comes to actually taking effective steps to get it done, I don't know how to do that. So once you build out your coaching program or whatever it is that you are selling and you're feeling those emotions, document it. Because when you speak those emotions to your client, they're going to be like, whoa, how do they know that I feel that way? It's like they're speaking directly to me. Even though they're speaking to me through email, even though I'm watching a webinar, it's like they're speaking to me. They're communicating emotions to me that I didn't even know that I had. They're communicating emotions to me that I didn't even know how to put into words. Documenting your emotions right now will allow you to create language for your client where it's like, I know where you've been and I know how you felt. I'm not one of those people who's just saying, yeah, I had a struggle story. I'm not one of those people who claims I know how it feels to be there, but you can't see it on me. I know exactly what you are thinking in this moment. And guess what? If you are able to communicate effectively how your client is feeling and what they are thinking, then they are going to automatically assume they have my answer. If they've been here before, they know the thoughts that's in my head and they are living a completely different life, they have my answer and I need to work with them in order to get the result I'm looking for. Step 4 is kind of similar to step 3. But the fourth thing that you want to do when you are building out a coaching program for yourself is you want to document every single obstacle that comes your way. There is no such thing as a perfect journey, right? And so as you are walking out your framework, and also as your future clients will be walking out your framework, they will run into obstacles. And it will be really, really beneficial to you and your program if you know what to do once your client reaches that obstacle. So when you come across an obstacle, you can handle this in 3 different ways. Number 1, you can add it to your framework so that your client knows how to maneuver through it once it comes. Number 2, you can add it as a bonus to your coaching program, or maybe it's not in the direct framework that you're using, but it's a bonus that they get access to once they sign up for your coaching program. And the reason why you would add it as a bonus is because it may not be directly necessary for them to need in the framework, but they might stumble across it and you just add it as a bonus just in case they stumble across it. So you can either add it to your framework, add it as a bonus, or adjust your program, right? So maybe you tried to add one step to your framework, and after coming across this obstacle, you realize that step's not going to work. I need to readjust this. You may need to readjust your framework in real time, and don't feel bad about that. A lot of us feel like once we create a framework, we need to stick to it. But the reason why you are coaching yourself right now and you are building out your framework as you are going is because this is the perfect time for you to keep adjusting it, see what works, see what doesn't work, add stuff, take it away, and perfect your framework so that you can ensure that every step that is taken on your client's journey will be necessary. So these are the 4 steps that you want to take when you are trying to coach yourself. So I hope after listening to this, you feel like you can get started in a coaching industry and you understand why you should get started in a coaching industry. You getting started right now and working on yourself is going to ensure that you build the best product for your client. And if that hasn't convinced you, then I want to introduce you to a new reason as to why you should get started today. The reason why is because if you do not start today, you will never start. I want you to really ask yourself this tough question. You have been telling yourself, I will start in the future. I will do it one day. One day when I learn more, I'll start the business. Ask yourself, how long have you been telling yourself that? Has it been years? Has it been months? Has it been decades? How long have you been telling yourself one day? How many steps have you been taking to actually learn more? You spend all your time listening to educational content. You're listening to this podcast. You're listening to podcasts similar to this. You read books. You've been gaining more knowledge, yet you're still telling yourself one day. I am sorry to break it to you, but one day is never going to come until you make the decision to make one day today. If you do not feel qualified to build out a coaching program and sell it to other people, that is not an excuse to not get started. You can build out a coaching program today, work that coaching program on yourself, get the result, and then start selling the framework that you use onto other people. What better way to get a client rather than being your first client? And some people are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, well, I don't want to do that because I'm not going to make money from it. I'm not going to make money from coaching myself and building out a framework on myself. Guess what? You're not making money right now. Every day that you spend telling yourself one day that this will happen, one day when I know more, one day when I'm more qualified, you're not making any money. Instead of making money, you're paying yourself in a different way. You're paying yourself excuses. So would you rather not get paid money, but also getting paid in excuses? Or would you rather take that step and start coaching yourself up, creating a framework that you see works on yourself so that one day you can start making money from it? And that one day will come way sooner than it will come than the way that you've been doing it by making excuses. It's your decision. And I want you to put in the comments of this episode, what is your decision going to be? But that is all that I have for you today. Of course, before we go, I do have a weekly action step that I want to give you. Sometime this week, and I really want you to do this. Like, don't just listen to this. Don't just hear me say it. Take some time this week and actually do it. I want you to pick one area of your life where you have been longing for a change. You have been actively working or desiring to work to get a result in that area. And I want you to start a coaching program and coach yourself through it. Write down the exact feelings that you are experiencing right now, whether it's frustration, whether it's fear, whether it's excitement, because you want to know when your client's going to get excited as well. Number 2, break down the journey into 3 to 5 small milestones that you will aim to reach over the next few months. Number 4, as you work on each milestone, especially the first one, document every tool, tip, or mindset shift that has helped you move forward. And number 4, save the notes. Because once you've overcome this, you have the framework, you have the marketing strategy, you have the messaging strategy, you have the resources needed in order to create the perfect coaching program that will benefit your client. I don't care if you got to get a notebook and you document everything in a notebook. I don't care if you got to create a Google Drive and you document everything in a folder. Find some type of way to document everything. And there is your coaching program that you have been putting off creating for all of these years. But that is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new episode is released. Also, leave a review and let me and others know how you enjoyed the show. And if you want to stay connected, follow me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Prospering with Christ. But that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next week.